Let's start with the Thunder and the Grizzlies. God, this is the worst one. So,
So bad.
I think I have to frame it. It was the fifth largest margin of victory in playoff history. It was an absolute smash job. By the time I think it was probably by the time of the second quarter, I was like, I wonder how much they could win by. I hope they leave their starters in for longer. And like to be thinking that early is just for some entertainment value, just to see like how bad of a beatdown they can actually do. This is obviously going to be a sweep. I guess I can only frame it in the sense of like, am I as the sort of host of the NBA section of this podcast since we started breaking down the playoffs? Was I way too dismissive of the Thunder last week? Like, am I really not taking them
No,
as seriously as I should? Because, or are the Grizzlies just terrible?
no, I think we were correctly dismissive of the Grizzlies. Like we all said that would be the Thunder's best matchup because of what we saw happen with John Morant in the last game of the season. And when you think about the fact that I think the starting five account for the Grizzlies accounted for 36 points, 36 fucking points total. I mean, it's going to be a bad day at the fucking office. The best plus minus on the Grizzlies was a -2. You want to just take just a guess at what the best plus minus was for the Thunder?
Wiggins?
Jalen Williams plus
Okay.
44.
Huh. Wow. Yeah. I mean, plus minus can be like very revealing
Yep.
sometimes. I think in blowouts, I think
Yes.
plus minus can be really revealing. I think in situations where you get like guys are sort of extending their stats, but then there's like Zubats like playing against Jokic is like -5, and it's like yeah, but like we'll come on to talk
Sure.
about this later. He's playing great. When you
Yep.
actually sit down and watch the game. So I like it is one of those stats like for all you baseball fans out there. Like yeah, I correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. When you're as a much more avid baseball watcher than me, are people basically like what stats they think are important now? Is that essentially what baseball has become? Where it's like
Yeah.
people who
It's
like slugging percentage, people who like on base
well.
percentage,
I mean,
Moneyball versus
OBS is like a relic of a stat now. Now they're talking about WAR and advanced OBS, and I don't even understand. Like, the nerds have taken over. But you're right.
yeah.
I think plus minus is one of those things that you could get. It doesn't really matter in some games, but in this game, when the Thunder have someone that's a plus 44, and then you have someone on the Grizzlies, Desmond Bain, who is a -51, that tells the story right there.
Yeah,
Like
it
that's
really
that's
does. It
fucking
tells the
atrocious.
story. I think you've made me feel better about it because I was actually stressing. I was like, did I sound as that game was going on and they were just like stomping all over the Grizzlies? I was like, I wonder if I just wrote off the Thunder like if it sounded to your average listener as a sort of a cavalier approach to the most likely team that the Celtics are going to see in the Western Conference Finals just based on like stats and percentages. And I think you've made me feel better because I think what you're saying is that we weren't dismissive of them necessarily, but we were dismissive of the series, the Grizzlies
Yes.
and the series, like the sort of knowledge and the correct knowledge, as it turns out. We were sort of guessing the way we talked about it. We were like, well, this is boring. And then it was a complete like annihilation.
No, we didn't talk about them at all.
Yeah. I mean, because of this, right? And I think that the Thunder are going to be here for a while, and there's the fact that we are probably going to get to talk about them a lot as we break down the playoffs round by round. I don't think that they have many flaws, to be totally honest with you, and I think they're sort of I don't know the vibe they give me is similar to like one of our finals runs. You know what I mean? Where it was like,
Yeah.
man, there's really talent everywhere. It's really tough to exploit mismatches with them because there just aren't going to be that many around the court unless you're like a really specifically built team. They obviously have the fact that they're ahead of schedule, and I mean SGA put on a probably MVP worthy performance this season. So they are the juggernaut. So you're just sort of waiting for somebody to give us a little bit of a perspective on them by bloodying their nose a little bit. And I don't think any of us expected the Grizzlies to be able to do that. And now it looks like it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do that. So
Right.
all sort of went how we said, even if I was worried that I was coming across as a condescending douche more so than usual
You only
when
did
it
that to me when you told me that was. Yeah, that's actually a really good point, Mike.
that did definitely come across that way. It really wasn't my intention. It was because, when your brain sort of like starts to move forward and then you go like, wait, actually, it was more of an actually of like, let me go back to that because that is an interesting, unique perspective by young Mr. Marcangelo there. Let me really roll it over to my noggin.
Yeah.
I think the Thunder probably are the most likely team that we see in the finals.
I don't.
Well, I mean, who? Because we need to go on to the next series. So who do you think is coming out of the West? You're really riding with the Wolves with me that hard, or what?
So I think that it's going to be either the Warriors or the Wolves. Yeah. But here's the problem. If Kawhi stays, I don't want to
I
like
know.
just blow up your fucking rundown, but
No, I know. I
based
know.
based on what I know right now, what I've seen, if Kawhi continues to be Kawhi, I don't know who's a good matchup for the Clippers.
He looked so good.
I know he did.
Like he looked absolutely outrageous last night. I'm excited to talk about that series so much more than I am to talk about the Thunder and the Grizzlies. And in fact, the one seed in the West, I have no real interest in talking about either the fucking Cavaliers and the Heat. I thought that game was like it was the most Eastern Conference game of all time. This is the only way I can describe it. Like it was just very like I feel like we've been in those games with the Heat, we've been in those games with the Cavs in different iterations over the last few years where it's just like I don't know how other than Donovan Mitchell, I'm not entirely sure how good looking this basketball is. You know what I mean? I don't know how pretty this girl is at this party. when I've sort of watched like Kawhi Leonard go bananas and just like with just great players all over the floor in the Knicks
Right.
Pistons series where you're just like, oh shit, like Cade Cunningham versus Brunson and they're doing cool shit all the time. And then you're just like, yeah, like this is some, I don't know, solid half court basketball when you're watching the Knicks and the or sorry, the Heat and the Cavs go at it.